in the United States, which is that was a huge deal for Angel Studios and that show. Now, how about The Sound of Freedom? Well, this movie was not produced by Angel Studios. Disney, after it acquired Fox, it decided to shelve this film, which I think is helping the narrative of Sound of Freedom, because a lot of people who are interested in Sound of Freedom are against Disney right now. So they're like, oh, why'd they shelve it, man? So we'll talk about this. So the director brought it to Angel Studios because he recognized there was a lot of crossover appeal in the film and the people who made the movie and people who enjoy the work of Angel Studios. And sure enough, Angel Studios passed the buck on to their biggest crowdfunders. They have some kind of think tank of the biggest contributors to their studio, which are viewers, because again, it's all crowdfunded. And they asked them, and they said, what do you guys think? Should we release this? And they were strongly encouraged by their crowdfunders to do so. But, just because someone is a supporter of your company doesn't mean they understand good business moves. And I think it was a mistake for Angel Studios to release this film because Angel Studios was doing so well. So let me tell you why. So the film has been endorsed by Mel Gibson. Somebody inaccurately said it was his movie. He just backed it up. And the reason is because it stars his Jesus, Jim Caviezel, so that connection was there. And Jim Caviezel, for those of you who might not be aware, has come out in favor of several right-wing conspiracies. Let's say it that way. So many of you over the past couple of days have been like, why aren't you covering Sound of Freedom? Why isn't Sound of Freedom getting more coverage in the press overall? And it's very conspiracy theory-like. It's not complicated. It's because of its relationship to right-wing conspiracies. That's the whole reason that it isn't getting any traction. Sound of Freedom is uncomfortably close to several right-wing conspiracies and the associated groups. And the movie has been politicized by the far right, not only with accusatory statements of, oh, this isn't why it's getting coverage because it's some kind of conspiracy theory. Just people don't want to be anywhere near that. And then also religious groups and far right organizations have been buying up a large number of the tickets, not just to give out for free, because they care about the film, they want to spread the message, et cetera, but clearly to also bump up that box office. So that's actually not a legitimate box. I mean, it is legitimate in that amount of money was made, but it didn't sell that number of tickets. It didn't entice that number of people to do it. It's so funny because the group that supports Sound of Freedom will accuse other studios of doing that, whereas they do not. They don't do that. But here, that was actually what was done. So that's not great. I mean, 40.2 million.
I didn't like it. And then also this little girl, who of course is revealed to be Nova, based on a car name. I thought that was good. Who's Charlton Heston's love interest in the original film. But he names her there. And she's not friends with the apes. I guess she gets too devolved, which seems kind of mean, right? They're like, oh, sorry, it's not cool to hang out with you anymore. Once you started throwing poop, that's not in the movie, obviously, but maybe it would be in the new movie. I mean, I am intrigued by the idea of remaking, again, the 1968 film to go along with these films. I think that would be interesting. But of course, now there'd be no Andy Serkis, so if you don't get to see Andy Serkis interact with the humans, I don't really know what the selling point is. And I think it's a big error for this franchise not to have set up someone to take over from him, unless they don't feel these films are going to continue. But if this is the note they end on, I don't know. I honestly would like to see them tackle the 68 film again with the changes that they've made. I think that would be really cool. Although I do have to say, I thought it was odd that they picked such a pretty girl over a cute girl. That just put some weird vibes in it. Kind of like almost like a pedophile kind of aspect to it. And that they shot her in a way to make it like, I felt the film wanted you to think to yourself, what a pretty little girl. And I thought that was really weird. I was like, I don't think you should think of little girls in that way. Like, oh, here's a pretty beautiful flower behind her ear, and she's so kind and caring. I was just like, I think with little kids, you should always go for spunky instead of hot. I just think that was a really weird and unfortunate choice. But